Hello everyone, thank you for joining me again for Wildcard Wednesday. It's Dee here from the Attenborough Arts Centre, which if you don't know is the Leicester University's Arts Centre. It belongs to the university and it always has a wide variety of exhibitions, workshops and performances there, as well as music. However, like the rest of the world, it's been locked down for the last year and is still locked down. So I'm recording from home in my studio at home, and hence the kind of makeshift lighting. And yeah, I hope it's been okay for you. We will be carrying on these workshops until I'm told that you don't want me to do any more. Actually, no, don't say that. I hope you'll always want to do more creative workshops with me. So one of the things I wanted to ask was, before I forget, is if you've got any ideas about what you'd like me to teach you, then send Bella an email or let someone know by email. I'm not quite sure how you do that, but I think Bella might be sending you an email asking what you'd like to do. So do put your ideas ahead. I'm not guaranteeing that I can do them all, but I'll give it my best shot and we'll see where it takes us. Anyway, so you'll have received all your boxes from reception, and so let's begin and see what's going on inside the box. Okay, so I have my box. Now the only thing, the extras you might need this week is some water on the side. Not to drink, but to to use in the project. So let's open up and see what we've got in here this week. Now yours will look slightly different to mine because I'm working from home with the materials I've got here. And when I pack your boxes this week, obviously, you know, there might be a slight difference in the packaging sort of thing. So we have in here a lovely lump of squishy clay. We have a pot of paint. This week I've chosen some gold. We have a toothpick and a lollipop stick. We have a pair of plastic gloves, a plastic apron. Ooh, there's another toothpick, and a paintbrush. Okay, so let's pop the box to one side, and I've already got my apron on. Now you might want to use your apron straight on the table if you want to cover up the surface, because it can be a bit messy, or you can work directly onto your table or work surface. The air dry clay, as you might or might not know, is very easy to tidy up after the workshop and wipe the table down where you're working. Plastic gloves, feel free to wear them. I think I might not wear mine today. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's up to you. Let's put the paintbrush and the paint to one side for now. And let's open up our clay. So I want you to take off a lump. Quite a big lump, say about half. Wrap the rest up in the plastic to keep it nice and moist. You don't want it to dry out. And I want you to squish your piece of clay into kind of fat sausage shape. Okay? And you're going to just roll it slightly on the table to smooth it out. I'm just going to tap the ends to make sure it's all fairly even. Okay. And then what I want you to do is you're going to stick your finger in one of the ends. It doesn't matter which one. And you're going to create a shape. Like this. See, I've stuck that in. You're going to pull it out And then I want you to start squeezing it back in on itself to close up the gap that you've just made. So you've kind of made like a hollow chamber shape. Okay, like that. And then I want you to do the same at the other end. You're going to stick your thumb in like that. You've made a kind of like egg cup shape. And then I want you to, just by pinching your fingertips with your fingers, I want you to sort of pull that lip that you've created round, close up that round shape that you've made. So it looks a little like that. It's like a kind of, almost like a dumbbell shape. Okay, let's just pop that to one side. Now we're going to get some more clay. Pull out a lump of clay. And I want you to tear off 4 pieces, roughly the same size. You know, it's like that. What you can do, you could watch what I'm doing first and then do it yourself. Or have a go, and if it doesn't work the first time, you can just, as long as the clay stays wet enough, you can screw it up and start again. Put that back in. So now I want us to make these into like this shape, like a conical shape, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm rolling it on the palm of my hands. I'm pressing harder on one end than the other so that it goes, so I'm pressing on this and leaving this end. Like that, and putting up next to it so I can compare it. Do the same with the 4 pieces. And they're all roughly the same kind of size. So what I want you to do now is we're going to squeeze, we're going to get one of these pieces and I want you to squeeze the fat end like this, and you're going to make it into like an S shape. Like that. I want you to do 2 that shape. So we're going to squeeze that end, the fat end, like that. I'm going to push down with my finger and make it into this kind of S shape. See if you can copy that shape. I'm going to make this one slightly longer and go back in. See if you can copy that shape. They should be very similar. They don't have to be identical. If I just hold them up a bit more to the camera. Mine aren't exactly the same, but they're very similar to each other. Can you see that? Okay. And Then with the other ones, I want you to take this and I want you to, again, squeeze that fat end out. And we're going to, we're not having the S shape, we're having it as a longer shape. So it's straight, that front one. Let's do the same with this one. So we squeeze the fat end and pulling it under like this. I'm just putting my thumb there. And I want you to just taper that one. Taper it so it goes slightly thinner towards the end. Like that. Okay, so it's, if I turn it all the different way around, you can see it's almost like a quotation mark shape. Like that. Okay, so we have 5 elements now. And what I want you to do is, if we pick up the clay piece up, I actually want you to get your lollipop stick and just dig a little hole in one end. It doesn't matter which one. So you can use that. You want to be able to get your finger in there to help you. Now, what we're going to do next is, if you get this piece, the one that's kind of like swirly, and you want your cocktail stick, what I want you to do is about kind of here. So if you measure in, it's kind of like not in the middle, but kind of on the fat bit of that ball that you've made. Do a little cross hatch. If your clay feels dry, put a tiny dab of water on. I want you to pick up the curly leg, and you're going to put it on the piece like this. You're going to rest it on. And I want you to blend it with your fingertips all the way around like that. Now there is going to be a lot of kind of like manipulation of the clay on this project. Like I'm just going to push that bit in, and I want that. And I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Where I think it looks a bit fat, I'm going to push it out. It'll become clearer in a minute what it is we're making, and when you see what it is we're making, you'll understand the shape that I want you to get. We're going to do the other side, so take the other curly shaped piece, put some score marks on. So you're doing it directly on the other side, okay? I want you to get a dab of water, line them up like that, and blend that piece in. So let me hold this up to the camera so you can see. I'm going to get my lollipop stick. I want to compress that shape. And I'm just going to pull them in a little. That could be absolutely anything at this stage, couldn't it? It will become clear in a second. Okay, so now we want these pieces, and we're going to do them that way round. So if you think about, so can you see what that might be if I hold it like this? It looks a bit strange at the moment, don't worry about it. So I'm going to put it here on, again, in line with the back legs. There you are, there's a clue. Dab of water if you need it. And these straighter ones are going to be, that is like a shoulder, that pad. And I want you to lay it onto the clay. And you can actually use that pad to create a bit of muscle. Okay. And the same at the back. So I want you to kind of like smooth round. Actually, a bit of water is required there. I want you to smooth round. Dab of water. Actually, do you know what? I might change that colour of paint. You might discover that you've actually got white paint in your box, not gold. So under here, I'm just going to get my lollipop stick, just push that down. I'll tell you what it is we're making now. We're making a hare. Okay, so if you're not familiar with what a hare looks like, Google it. You don't see them very often. They're very secretive animals. You see them in the countryside, usually in fields, and you can tell the difference between a hare and a rabbit because hares are much, much bigger and they have much bigger ears than rabbits. And that's what we're making today, a hare. So I want you to go to the other side, pick up your other shape that's like this, score on the shoulder pad, dab of water, and again we're going to do the same as we did on this side. So I'm going to smooth that down. I'm not going to completely squash it because I want to use that shape as a bit of kind of muscle tone on the hare's shoulder. Now it's much shorter there, isn't it? So I'm going to just squish that out so it's longer. So it's more like the leg on the other side. Now what I want you to so you can look at it like that way. It is running, so they're not going to be side by side, these legs. So running hare. I want you to get that neck piece and just pull it up. Open up here. I'm kind of pulling it like this. You get an idea of that. Now if you hold it in a profile, you can see it better. And up here you can see it, its muscles, its shoulders and its back legs. They might want to be a little bit longer. Okay, I want you to close his chest up a bit, or hers, and I want you to grab a piece of clay. Right, this is just so we can sit it on the clay while we're making the other pieces. So grab a lump of clay, put it down and sit your hare torso on top of it so it's balancing like that while we make the other pieces. So what we're going to make now is a tail. So I've got a little tiny piece of clay. I'm going to, that's too big. I'm going to shape it like this. I want it almost like a leaf shape. Let me show you. If I put that down there, you can see the shape. And if I hold it up to the camera, you can see the shape. It's kind of like the top bit's flat and it's going round at the base. Like this. Okay, and we're going to stick that onto his bottom. You can use a bit of water if you need to. So I'm doing that. Let me pick it up. Look, I've put it on like this. Now I'm going to get my lollipop stick and I'm going to just blend that down. Without squashing it too much. I'm going to, as I'm kind of like turning it round in my hand, I'm looking at the whole thing and seeing where I need to kind of push little bits in or smooth little bits over or define the shape a little bit more. There we are, like that. So I'm going to put it down on my little stump that I've made, little lump of clay. Just rest him there. And now we're going to make the head. So what I want you to do is grab another piece of clay. And now I have to think about the proportion of the body, of my body. So look at the lump of clay you've got. And what I want you to do is pick it up. It's going to go here, right? Your head is going to go here. So if there's like a gap, I've got quite a big gap there. I'm going to take a bit of clay and fill that little bit in. Okay? You can do that with this air drying clay. It's brilliant. Because it's not going in a kiln, you don't have to worry too much about air getting trapped or anything like that. So I'm just pulling that round and I've just kind of like brought it up a little. I'm going to pinch a little bit of clay off there as well. Okay, so I can see roughly where the head's going to sit now. It's going to kind of sit there. I hold it to one side like this. In profile, you should be able to get a better idea. Okay, right, let's cover that up. I'm going to put him back down there to sit, and I'm going to look at the profile of the piece I've just got. Now the shape I want is, I'm going to kind of make it slightly pointy. They have very long faces, and I'm going to just indent in the eye socket like that, just with my thumbs. Like this. And I'm going to just hit that head onto my shape. He looks like he's got a little scarf on now, but I'm going to blend that all in so you can't see that join. Just with my fingertip, the edge of my thumb, I'm going to go round and just blend in. It's a bit wonky, but I'm quite happy with that. Now, what do you think's missing from that head? It is, in fact, a very large pair of ears. So let's get on to the ears. We're going to grab another piece of clay. I want you to split that in half, that piece, and we're going to, if we start off like this, I've just done a little roll. Let's just see if they're the same size. So look, that one's a bit bigger. I'm just going to take a little bit off that. So I've made them kind of like into sort of like a, again, one end is more tapered than the other. One end goes to a point. What I'm going to do is squash that with my finger. Well, at this stage you can get the toothpick, and we're just going to press the toothpick down into that shape and pull the ear right up like this. Okay, right up, and I'm pressing down into the center of the shape that I've just made. Like that, kind of manipulating it. Let's put that one down, work on the next one. So I'm squashing it out, elongating it a bit, getting the lollipop, the cocktail stick, and just pressing it in to make a kind of indented shape. So it's similar in size. You've got the two there. Then I'm going to get my hare, and I'm going to face him on straight onto me, and I'm going to score up here on the top of his head, just above the eye socket that we made. I'm going to get a dab of water, put it on both, and I'm going to sit that shape on the outside. So it's like this. I'm supporting it, look, with my thumb on the back. Sorry, let me bring it down. With the thumb on the back, I'm just supporting that. It's a bit delicate. And I'm going to get my lollipop stick and just pull that down like that and in a bit. They have great ears. They can hear humans and all sorts from miles away. Why you don't see them very often, because they're usually darting across a field. I'm going to turn it round gently. Again, look, I'm supporting it here, and I'm just going to pull down with my lollipop stick onto there we go. I'm going to get the second one and do the same. I'm going to put it on, push it down with my fingertip. I'm going to get there to support it so that you don't knock the piece off that you've just joined. And I'm dragging that clay down onto the surface beneath. Like this. And as I turn it round, I can see the profile. So for his eyes, I'm going to just create a shape in there for his eyes by digging the clay with the toothpick. Let's make those ears even bigger. And the same on this side. I'm going to just score in kind of diamond shape. Oh God. Now look, I've looked. One's right back there and the other. I'm just going to smooth that over and start that one again. So now I've got him in profile. I'm going to look that I put it there. You don't want a cross-eyed hare. Even that's not quite right. Let's see there. There we go, that's better. And here on his little nose, I'm going to make a line here and a little line here. And then they have two little nostrils here and here. Oh, he looks a bit angry now. So now you can take some time, now you've built it, you can take a bit of time sort of looking at the shape of the body and go round and sort of manipulate it to where you want it to be. So I'm going to spend a bit of time kind of looking at the shapes I've made before it gets too hard. I mean, it's already drying out. My feet at the front are quite going hard. What I want you to do is that piece of clay that we took out, grab a bit more clay. Let's just lay the head down on his side gently. Grab some more clay, quite a big piece. What I want you to do is roll it in your hands to make another kind of like a column. I'm just going to turn it and pull down like this. So it's got like a splayed foot. Like that. And in here, I want you to make a kind of indent with your fingers. This is kind of like a rough shape, okay? This is the shape this is the piece, that the hare is going to sit on top. Now, you can make it, if you're worried about sort of like dropping it and stuff, you can make it so that it can come off and then you can just put it on there. Or you can attach it to the base if you wanted. So it's permanently sitting on the base if you're worried about it getting broken. And then it's like a leaping, running hare. Let me just turn it on the profile. So there we have our hare running, and that's the piece it's going to sit on. Okay, it's almost like jumping over a piece of wood. Now, what I want you to do is leave this to dry out now before we go and paint it. So you've got some time now to start smoothing it over and defining, adding little bits of clay for muscle definition, squishing some bits if you're not happy with the shape, fattening up the legs or the arms, and then leaving it to dry out somewhere in the sun, on a windowsill, a radiator, somewhere warm before you start painting it. So I'm quite happy with that shape. I'm just going to press that bit in there. And I'm just going to spend a bit of time refining the pieces that I've made. Okay, so I've let my hair dry out a little bit, and you can see here that I've put lots of little marks on it using my cocktail stick to give the impression of fur. And I've done the same on the tree stump, which I did with the lollipop stick. So that sits quite nicely on there. I've decided I'm going to give you white paint because you get white hairs, believe it or not. So you don't get gold hairs, so I'm not going to give you gold paint. But what I thought would be quite nice is, now you can see the colour, can you see that light grey ear? because that's where it started to dry out. So I'm going to give it a really thick coat of white paint. And that also acts as like a sort of sealant as well, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a varnish almost, because when it dries, acrylic paint, it goes kind of slightly shiny. Yeah, so I've decided I'm going to do that. Well, I haven't got enough in there, but I want you to paint the whole thing, and you can paint your stand as well. If you've got some other colours with you, some other acrylic paints, you can always do it an authentic hare colour, which if you Google hares, Hares, you will see what they are. And obviously they're kind of like, you know, naturally they're browns and beige and all sorts of different colours going on in there. But it's too complicated for me to give you all those different colours. So I've decided to go for a white snow hare. And as I say, if you want to use your own colours, then you can. Now let me just get my big pot of paint over. So I want to get this on a lot around the ears, because the ears are quite vulnerable because they're thin, and this will act as like a kind of almost like a glue as well, the PVA. Not PVA, it's like PVA, the acrylic paint. So I'm going to get my little brush right in there. Just be careful, they're very vulnerable, the ears. I hope you haven't found this too challenging, this little project, because, you know, I thought I'd give you something that wasn't too easy to do, because it's not too much of a challenge if it's really, really easy. And, you know, I do different types of classes. Some are easier than others. So if you did find this too difficult, you can just make do any animal that you like. Or you don't even have to do an animal. You can just play with the clay and make something that you fancy, that you find easier. But I think a step-by-step instruction on how to make this is actually really useful. I'm going to put him down on his little stand. Oh, because I don't want to get paint all over my hands, she says, already having had paint all over her hands. And I'm going to use him on his stand to keep painting. And then when the body's dry, I'll take it off and paint the base as well. But I'm quite pleased with this. I think it's a nice little project. And as I said, because you're watching this on a film, you can kind of like keep going back and looking at the way I made those shapes over and over again until you get it right. But I'm very happy with this. And I don't think it was too... If you follow the shapes I made, you should be able to do it without too much difficulty. And that's a nice little kind of sculpture. You can put it on your windowsill or your desk, or give it to somebody as a gift. Yeah, so leave it to dry for a few days, somewhere nice and warm. I'm going to leave that because it's really wet now. So there you have it. Let me hold it up. Oh, it's all wet. Don't really want to. Anyway, hang on. I can't hold it up. I'm going to just turn the camera around. That's the end of that project. A white winter hare And I enjoyed making that. I'm really pleased with the result. I haven't made one before. Don't think I make hundreds of these and I'm, can just churn them out. I've never made a clay hare before. That's the truth. So we're all beginners at this one. Anyway, so I hope you're able to join me next week where we'll be doing something completely different again. I'm not going to tell you what it is because that would spoil the surprise, but I hope you're able to do this together with your friends in a group, that you're not spending too much time on your own in your rooms, and that, I hope that doing my little creative workshops each week gives you a little bit of joy. And some point in the summer, hopefully, we can do some live sessions where I'll be there in person. Yay! So as I've said, every week for quite a long time now, stay safe, stay well, and above all, stay creative. Okay, this is Dee signing off. Bye, everybody.